All right, so here's a question you've probably never been asked before. Are you ready for Q5? For most cash clinics, this is one of the best times of the year to advertise, but let me explain what I'm talking about here. So, Q5 is the term to describe the time between December 20th-ish until January 1st. The reason that these 2 weeks and a little bit of change there has its own quarter in the marketing world is all about buyer psychology. So during the holidays, everybody buys for their family and their friends, their relatives, et cetera, et cetera. But once that shopping is over, it's time to buy for themselves. This is like a huge shift in buyer psychology. And if during Q5 you can lean into this with your copy and your retargeting and your follow up, you're going to convert way more people than you would expect to during the holidays, which is usually like December is usually a wash for most clinics. They kind of write it off of like, oh, this is just going to be a slow month. Utilizing Q5 to your advantage is a really easy way to make December a really profitable month for you, and more importantly, to play offense going into 2025. I also think that like during Q5, clinics and other local service businesses have a really huge leg up on, other businesses that are out there. Again, like the reason Q5 is a thing is because of timing. Once December 20th or so hits, you can't go to Amazon anymore and order a gift and have it under the tree for Christmas morning. So if there are people out there that are still looking for a gift, they're going to go to a local service business because really that's the only option that they have left. Another really big bonus with Q5 is that since, the holiday shopping is over, CPG brands and other brands that are out there, they turn their ad spend way down. They're spending a ton of money during Black Friday and the holidays and the Christmas season and all of that stuff. But, these brands know that they can't fulfill by Christmas. So, they turn off their ad spend, once the holidays are over. So this is a really big advantage for us. This means that competition is way less, conversion costs are also way less, and there's way more opportunity, which is a really big win for us. So when I'm thinking about Q5, I really break it down into two different parts here. Okay. So there's two different parts within Q5. Part one is going to be from December 20th until the day after Christmas. Again, this is the time that competition on ads has like gone way, way down. Overall cost for leads has also gone way down. And there's potentially a really big opportunity there if you play your cards right. The second part of Q5 is after Christmas until the first of the year. So for a lot of people, the holiday stress is over, and you have to think that this is one of the biggest things you have to think about is that most people are off during this time. So Q5, pretty much from December 20th until the new year, people are off from work. People take Christmas Eve off a couple days beforehand, kind of that Friday before Christmas, especially this year, the way Christmas falls. People are pretty much off those last 2 weeks. This means that people are sitting at home, they're probably on their phone board, and being on their phone more makes this one of the best times of the year to reactivate clients. So even though they're not in their daily routine, they're probably just sitting at home on their couch, and this is a really good time to reach out to them, put some content out, and get in front of them. So, knowing that there's two parts within Q5, let's break down like how you guys can actually execute during these. All right. So part one's really only going to be like if you're running ads. And this is especially like on the meta ads side of things. I don't talk a ton about meta ads because we really push the Google ads side of things. But if you are running meta ads or this is something that you're interested in, this is a really good time of year to run them because, we've talked about this before, but there's such a huge competition during the holidays. And this is really the first real time that ad costs go down in the last 3 or 4 months. If you're thinking about this on the Google side of things, you have to be a little weary because yes, costs are going to go down, but search volume is also going to go down as well. That's just kind of like the data we see on the Google side of things. So if you're running ads during Q5, especially on the meta side of things, make sure your creative and your copy represents this time of year. So the more your creative or your email follow-up talks about the end of the year and it's more relevant for the person that's consuming your content, the more likely you are to actually get them to convert into booking a discovery call or scheduling an evaluation. So these are the key things that you have to think about when you're planning part one of Q5. If we're talking about part two of Q5, I think this is the most important part. This kind of like week here is, honestly could be one of the best times of the year to reactivate old patients and leads that never ended up converting. So, get your notepad out. Please listen to this part because I think this is really, really important. So there are two types of avatars you should be reaching out to. One of them is going to be an old patient that fell off during the holidays, and the other is going to be, somebody that inquired about your PT services in October, November, or December, but they never actually ended up following through because, the holidays are a shit show. It's kind of a mess there, and if I threw my back out in November, but it was a week before Thanksgiving, and you are off, and I couldn't get in for an appointment like that person's not going to follow through with an actual plan of care, and they're not going to come back in December. So now is a perfect time to reach back out to that person and try to get them back in the door. The key thing to remember with this is that these people aren't going to reach out to you. You need to force that issue. You need to reach out to these people. We can also see in the data, and honestly, just using common sense, that because people are off during Q5, like I said, people are on their phone way more. So Instagram usage is going to go way up. Kind of using that theory. People are also going to aimlessly check their emails. This combination of using more user interaction on social media paired with less competition in the ad space and in the content space. This is a really, really important thing to remember. And it's a huge opportunity to activate people with content and get in front of them on Instagram, your newsletter, and through text or email follow-ups. So again, I think Q5 is, one of the more relevant. I think Q5 is probably even more relevant for PTs and chiros and anybody in the performance therapy space because, we know it, right? Like once the holidays are over, this thing called the fresh start effect goes into play. And all of a sudden, people have this motivation to get back to the gym. They want to eat healthy and, hopefully, for us, find, some cure to the nagging back pain they've been having since October. But if you take Q5 off and you don't market in Q5, you miss out on all that motivation. It's really just like such an easy time to leverage copy and tap into those people's emotional buying response. So here's what you can do. The easiest thing that you can do is create an email drip that leans into that emotional buying response. And the reasons why a potential the reasons a potential the problems that a potential patient might be having. So if you can lean into that and solve that problem with your copy, this is going to be huge. We created this email drip for Patch members. There was really no sale or no deal or anything like that involved. It was, simply a nurture sequence. And, the emails that we're sending out, we're really just talking about why somebody should come in based on the problems that we're dealing with and how physical therapy can solve those problems for those people. And that's really all you have to do. If you can just tap into that emotional response, you don't have to have this crazy deal or 50% off packages or anything like that. This is how you can get people back in the door. So the second thing you can do is you can use your CRM to reach out to the two avatars that I talked about earlier. So, one would be anybody who inquired about services in the last 3 or 4 months who never converted. So you should be able to go into your CRM. You should be able to see, all right, who are the people that booked a discovery call, who filled out a form, who downloaded an ebook, who inquired through an ad. And, chances are those people are still in pain. And now is probably the, better time than ever to get them in, especially for the new year. So, those people, again, that inquired kind of late Q2, Q3, beginning of Q4, now's the time to reach back out to those people and try to get them in for that evaluation. The second person that you're going to want to reach out to would be anybody who is a current patient. So they're in a package, in a plan of care, but they fell off because of the holidays. So maybe you took some time off, or your staff members took some time off, or they took time off. And, because of all of the things going on, they haven't been in the clinic for 30 or 60 days. we have this really cool integration. If anybody uses PT Everywhere out there, where PT Everywhere syncs up with our CRM that we build out for my old clinic, Ripple, for all the clinics that we use that use PT Everywhere inside of Patch. So what you can do is you can go into your EMR and you're able to see the date of every current patient's last appointment, if they have another appointment on the books, how many sessions they have remaining. And what we do with that data is we filter it all out and we figure out, okay, who are the people who haven't been in the clinic for 30 days that do not have another appointment on the schedule, but still have sessions remaining. So if you can get that data and you can pull that list, you can enroll them in an email sequence, or you can manually reach out to them. You can call them, you can text them, you can leave a voicemail, you can send them an email, do all the things to follow up with them. You can just be really, really targeted with that. And if you have staff members, you can get them involved as well at the end of the year. So understanding your patient's session data, ideally through, a CRM or some sort of integration there, makes this follow up and this reach out money. This is a really, really easy way to, again, like, start on second base for Q5. This is going to be how you do it. The last and probably best thing you can do in Q5, to be honest, is just stay consistent with your content. We talked about how during Q5, people aren't working. They're probably home. They're probably bored. They're probably sitting on their couch, doom scrolling on Instagram and their email. I know I used to do that for sure. But remember, all of your competition is probably off this week. And that makes this a massive opportunity to get leverage and, get more eyeballs on your content. Instagram's going to give you more reach because there's less competition out there. So you need to stay consistent with your content. And unfortunately, I think this is what most clinic owners don't want to hear. You probably, during Q5, you probably want to shut off, come back to the clinic in the new year. Listen, I get it. All I want to do right now is ski. But unfortunately, we chose to be entrepreneurs. And if we want our business to grow and start, especially, I think the most important thing is just like start 2025 with playing offense and start it hot and really get in there with some momentum into the new year. I think that's really, really important, and it really sets up the rest of your year. So, I always like kind of look back at Ripple. The week between Christmas and New Year's was always crazy. I was always like really shocked at how many people I was able to squeeze in over those weird days. But people had crazy schedules. They're kind of able to come in whenever they could. And if somebody was coming in on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. for the last 12 weeks, they might be able to come in Thursday at 3 p.m. just because they're off of work. So I was able to really slide and maneuver people into the schedule and get a ton of sessions in on weird days. So this is kind of why I always stuck around during the holidays. I always tried to get in as many patients as I could. But I think most importantly, I marketed during this time as much as possible. We had multiple email campaigns going. We're reaching out to leads that never ended up converting. We're following up with lost patients. And that's probably the good thing to hammer home about Q5 is that people are off. This is a great time to get them in for an evaluation or sneak them in for sessions they haven't been in, and they really haven't been able to since Thanksgiving. Because think about it, from Thanksgiving to the New Year, it's crazy. It's really, really busy. And I think the moral of this whole podcast today is you can't mail these weeks in. So here I am. I'm introducing you to Q5. You probably never knew this existed. This is really just a marketing thing, to be totally honest with you. But hopefully you're pumped about this, or as excited as I am. But seriously, this is one of the best times to market your clinic. So make sure you're in on it.